You are in management, you are in leadership, you're in a leadership role, you are considering quitting that well-paying job. It's no longer about the money. You feel tired, you feel numb, you feel like you've reached your breaking point. This video is for you. Did you know that 60% of leaders report feeling emotionally drained at the end of their workday? Being in leadership is synonymous with more responsibility, and this can often lead to burnout. And if left unchecked, it can have severe consequences on your mental health. So in this video, we are going to look at how burnout can impact your mental health in leadership, the signs that you absolutely want to look out for, and what you can do to bulletproof your mind and body and find that working balance for your well-being. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy, and this is where I discuss topics on matters leadership, professional growth, and career advancement. So if this is your very first time stopping by and this is the kind of language that you speak, kindly consider subscribing and pressing the bell, and you will be notified whenever I release a new video. If you're in middle to upper management, burnout can show up as that feeling of physical and emotional exhaustion that you experience when you're overworked or you've probably neglected your well-being. And let me just be quick to mention that burnout in leadership roles differs from burnout in people from other positions within the organization, because the higher you go, the higher the levels of responsibility and accountability. There's this word that sounds almost cliche, to whom much is given, much is required, but it is so true. You are not only responsible for your own work, but you also have the performance, the well-being, the outcomes of your team members, and even the overall organization. Those in lower hierarchies have to focus more on their duties with less overall accountability for company success. And this creates additional pressure on you, which can lead to greater risk of emotional exhaustion. Then as a leader, you may also experience decision fatigue from the constant need to analyze, to evaluate, to choose among competing priorities, which is a mental drain unique to those in leadership roles. Your colleagues in lower ranks are charged to follow direction without having to bear the weight of critical decision making, which reduces mental strain on their part. And then there's the aspect of emotional labor, role isolation, and I've spoken about this a lot in most of my videos. Leaders are expected to not only manage their own emotions, you also have to manage the emotions of your team members. You have to provide support, you have to manage conflicts, you have to create that happy place for everyone, and this is emotional labor, and it can actually take a significant toll on your mental health, in addition to the loneliness from being isolated from others. And then you find that you cannot share your stress and struggles with your colleagues, something that employees within the organization in non-leadership positions don't necessarily go through much, as they may experience emotional challenges. They don't have to shoulder the burden of other people's emotions or isolation from other team members. I've always believed that the first line of defense is prevention. You want to know the signs to look out for, to know that burnout is imminent, or if you're already in too deep. So this is an aspect that I delve into deeply with my clients, only because you are as useful to an organization as your productivity. It starts with your physical, then there's your mental, then there's your emotional. All this come together. You want to take preventative measures before becoming too overwhelmed to act, before becoming too overwhelmed to step up and to protect yourself. And a big challenge for leaders is that struggle to show vulnerability. So in the process of being the solution to everybody else within the organization except yourself, your body's natural defense can give way, and if it's overstretched, you want to check out if you struggle with chronic fatigue and exhaustion. Have you been feeling physically exhausted and emotionally depleted lately from the demands of your role. You find yourself ruminating about the past. You find yourself worried and anxious about the future. You find yourself concerned about your feelings and the demands of your job. And it's now coming down to the constant headaches and the chronic body pains, the gastrointestinal troubles. You feel like you cannot just catch a break. And even with some good needed rest, you still feel tired when you wake up. And before you know it, you're just going to work to fulfill your professional requirements and not because you love and appreciate your job. All the motivation has been replaced by irritability. And that's where inability to focus comes in. If you're experiencing burnout, you may struggle to perform at your usual level, at your usual best. Burnout can make you change your behavior at work, and then you notice tasks and responsibilities piling up on your desk, but it's so hard to make decisions. You even prefer to be excluded from solving problems because it's just too much for you to take. You find yourself canceling events, you're canceling meetings, you don't want to show up on time, and you're not remorseful about it. And with time, the quality of your work suffers and you'll start feeling ineffective. You're going to start feeling frustrated at work, even with your own job. And this leads to what? This leads to emotional withdrawal. Are you slowly becoming cynical? Are you questioning the value of your efforts in that organization, even in your own particular role? You're not as excited as you used to be about your work, and you literally appear detached from the daily happenings within the organization. You're no longer sensitive to the needs of your colleagues, and with time, people start saying that there's an air of negativity that is surrounding you. These are just a few red flags that indicate that you may be approaching burnout and there's need to take drastic measures to regain balance. So the moment you start to experience that chronic fatigue, the inability to focus on your daily routines, and your emotions start giving you away, go under the microscope. Consider self-assessment. What is your body trying to communicate to you? Burnout can manifest in mental health challenges like anxiety, depression, mood swings, decision fatigue. Your mental well-being takes a hit from prolonged stress and emotional fatigue. So I'm just going to share with you some of the ways burnout manifests in your mental health, starting with debilitating anxiety. Have your anxiety levels started manifesting as persistent worry? You're becoming increasingly nervous. You're becoming more and more overwhelmed. And lately, you find it too hard to relax and even have a moment just to yourself, to just have a moment to be in your little happy place. The work you once enjoyed doing has now taken a toll on you. It's clouding your judgment such that you do not want to shoulder other people's responsibilities. These are the moments where depression and emotional numbness checks in, when you start feeling disconnected from your work and from your personal life. And then you feel that wave of sadness and things of material value just take second place. If you are the kind of person who's in tune with your mind, you're in tune with your body, you're going to notice when you start losing interest in activities you once enjoyed, when you feel too emotionally drained and you quietly struggle with feelings of worthlessness and even failure. Are you experiencing disrupted sleep patterns, insomnia? You find that you have difficulty falling asleep, or you're waking up frequently during the night and you can't just explain it. You may have been sacrificing sleep in the name of hard work, but this can cause a mental toll on you, causing that anxiety and irritability that compounds to restless sleep. Just having seen at how much burnout can manifest in your mental health, you want to master the correlation between prolonged stress and mental well-being. And leadership comes with daily pressure to deliver, and for the most part, to exceed expectations, and this can lead to prolonged stress. So with time, you will experience mental fatigue and emotional strain. The longer the stress goes unaddressed, the greater the decline in your mental health. You just want to look out for your memory. attention span, decision-making abilities. Do you feel like they have been compromised lately? It could be high levels of the stress hormone cortisol at work, or your emotions are all over the place, making it harder for you to cope with challenges and with emotional exhaustion. So you don't even feel that need to make an effort anymore. So for the sake of this video, we're just going to go a little deeper here as we shed light on people in leadership and management roles. And you want to ask yourself, what are your unique stressors? Starting with the high responsibility element, being responsible for others amplifies stress in that you carry the weight of ensuring that everybody under your umbrella meets expectations, they achieve goals, and they stay motivated. And these are stress magnets. You're also expected to be the emotional anchor for your team members, even when you're feeling overwhelmed yourself. So the stress of constantly being emotionally available for others can come with that extra layer of emotional and mental fatigue. And then let's look at the burden of making decisions. Decision-making burden. Being responsible for making decisions that are going to affect the careers and well-being of others means that the consequences of your decisions are going to ripple throughout the organization. And there is stress that comes with the fear of making the wrong decisions and negatively impacting others, because whatever you decide is going to carry weight beyond your personal concerns. And the major downturn that burnout can lead to for you is that you may easily become disconnected from your colleagues and your team members, leading to that loss of empathy. And the danger is that the larger the trust gap widens between you and your people, the more of an uphill task is going to be for you to work together. You need at least one or two people who can put an oxygen mask on your nose in case of an emergency, if you get what I mean. With the disconnection comes communication breakdown, and with communication breakdown comes strained relationships. So I'm just going to share with you this acronym that I came up with. I love acronyms. So this acronym I came up with, SPOT, SPOT, to highlight actionable tips that will help you find balance before burnout becomes a thing. The S stands for step back. Take a step back. At the end of each day, you want to take at least 10 to 15 minutes to do a personal debrief of your day. Your body is your greatest indicator of whether you were kind to yourself or otherwise. And this is where you ask yourself, are there tasks that you could have delegated, and did you actually do it? How did you handle the short and the long breaks throughout the day? Did you feel good about how the day went, or are there areas that you can improve on consciously to have fruitful days in future? Making this a habit is going to help you catch on any discomfort that may lead to burnout and mitigate it in good time. And then the P stands for prioritize your resources according to your resourcefulness. So by now you probably have an idea of your genius zone at work. That thing that you're really good at. And this is what you want to prioritize and consecrate the most of your energy to. When you become everything to everyone, you can easily get distracted as you deplete your energy levels, all the while you're sacrificing your mental strength. But when you prioritize that which you were hired for, you're going to get better at it daily, lowering your stress levels as you grow in your expertise. You will also feel less guilty setting the right boundaries, because you know where your energy levels should be spent, and you are doing exactly that. And then the O stands for organize your inner self. Organize your inner self. Burnout manifests differently according to our personality types and the kind of work that we do. So you'll notice that if you're an extrovert, you're going to handle stress differently from an introvert. One may manifest more outwardly, while the other might take more time before the signs become obvious. It's just a case of personality types. And then if your work requires you to be more physical, your body is going to ring the alarm. and maybe give you 80% of the signals that you need to slow down. Take this from a former cabin crew. And then if you're left-brained, your mind is going to push back and give you the signals that you need to press pause and pay attention to your well-being. So you want to be very clear on your personality type, your physical, mental, and emotional triggers, so you know when there is looming danger ahead. And then the T stands for think forward, but act in the present. Think forward, act in the present. It's always important to look at the bigger picture to help you stay grounded and focused on the constants of your life, with or without your job. What does your future look like in that organization? How do you imagine your life after retirement? And if the stress levels keep rising, do you see yourself happily getting to retirement and even beyond? Who would be the most affected should anything happen to you whatsoever? Burnout is your body's outcry that something needs to change, but only if you take matters into your own hands and make yourself a priority. So should you need professional help, go for it, and just keep your inner circle posted. If you enjoyed this video, I also made another one on how to make emotional intelligence part and parcel of your leadership journey. Just have a look at it right here and let me know in the comments section your major takeaways. Thank you so much for your company and see you on the next one. Bye.